My brakes are gone. Help me. Somebody help me. Screams the panicked truck driver over his CB radio as his fully loaded semi barrels down Highway 101 toward a school bus full of children. Behind him in an old pickup truck, 78-year-old Master Sergeant Jake Road Dog Williams hears the desperate call and knows his decades. Driving military convoys through war zones have prepared him for this exact moment. What this decorated Army veteran does next will leave you speechless and prove that heroes come in all ages. If stories like Jake's inspire you, hit that subscribe button and share about a veteran who made a difference in your community. Their skills and courage never retire. Jake Williams was driving his beat-up Ford pickup down Highway 101, heading home from his weekly grocery run to town. At 78, he didn't drive as much as he used to, but he still felt comfortable behind the wheel after 60 years of driving everything from Jeeps to 18-wheelers. It was 3:15 p.m. on a Thursday, and Jake was taking his time on the winding mountain highway. School would be letting out soon, and he knew the buses would be making their runs through these hills. Jake had driven these roads for 40 years since retiring from the Army. He knew every curve, every grade, every dangerous spot where accidents could happen. The CB radio in his truck crackled to life. Jake kept it on Channel 19, the trucker's frequency, partly for safety and partly because he missed the camaraderie of talking to other drivers. Breaker 19. This is Big Dog eastbound on 101, came a calm voice. Traffic's moving smooth through the valley. Jake smiled. He'd been Big Dog himself back in his Army days, leading convoys through some of the most dangerous roads in the world. Now he was just another old-timer listening to the chatter. That's when everything changed. Mayday! Mayday! This is eastbound semi at mile marker 47. My brakes are gone, I repeat. My brakes have failed. Jake's military training kicked in instantly. He grabbed his CB microphone while scanning the road ahead for the truck in distress. Big Dog 2. Eastbound semi, what's your speed and cargo? The trucker's voice was pure panic. I'm doing 55 and climbing. Fully loaded with steel beams. I can't slow down on this grade. Jake knew exactly where the driver was. Mile marker 47 was the start of a steep 3-mile descent that ended at the valley floor. At the bottom was the intersection where school bus route 12 crossed the highway. Jake looked at his dashboard. Clock, 3:18 p.m. Bus 12 would be coming through that intersection in exactly 7 minutes, loaded with kids from Jefferson Elementary. Eastbound semi. This is Road Dog in the pickup behind you. I can see you now. What's your situation? Jake could see the massive semi ahead of him, a red Peterbilt pulling a flatbed trailer loaded with I-beams. The truck was gaining speed as gravity pulled it down the mountain grade. Road Dog, I've got no brakes at all. Pedal goes straight to the floor. I tried the emergency brake, but this load is too heavy. Jake floored his pickup, quickly calculating options like he'd done hundreds of times in combat situations. The runaway truck was now doing 60 miles per hour and accelerating. Semi-driver, what's your name? Tommy Morrison, the voice replied. I've got a wife and 2 kids at home. I don't want to die today. You're not going to die, Tommy, Jake said with the calm authority of someone who'd talked soldiers through life and death situations. But I need you to listen to me carefully. Jake pulled alongside the massive truck, his little pickup dwarfed by the 18-wheeler. Through the cab window, he could see Tommy Morrison, a young man maybe 30 years old, gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles. Tommy, Jake called over the CB. I'm the pickup next to you. Look at me. Tommy glanced over and saw an elderly man in a baseball cap, driving calmly beside him while the speedometer climbed past 65 miles per hour. Who are you? Tommy asked. Master Sergeant Jake Williams, retired. I've been driving trucks longer than you've been alive, son. We're going to get through this together. Other voices started breaking in on the CB. Truckers throughout the area had heard the emergency and were offering help and advice. Road dog, this is Hammer down in the westbound lane. There's a school bus approaching the intersection at the bottom of this hill. Jake's blood ran cold. How far out? Maybe 4 minutes, came the reply. Tommy's truck was now doing 70 miles per hour, and Jake's pickup was straining to keep up. The old Ford's engine was screaming, but it stayed alongside the runaway semi. Tommy, Jake called. Do you have a Jake brake? I tried it. Nothing works. Okay, listen to me. We're going to use the shoulder and the guardrail to slow you down. But first, I need you to do exactly what I tell you. Jake had used this technique in Bosnia when a convoy truck lost its brakes on a mountain pass. It was dangerous, but it was their only option. Tommy, I want you to start drifting toward the right shoulder, very gently. Let the gravel and grass slow us down gradually. I'm scared I'll lose control. Son, you're going to lose control anyway if we don't try this. Trust me. Jake watched as Tommy began easing the truck toward the shoulder. The big rig started bouncing and swaying as it hit the loose gravel, but it began slowing slightly. Good, Jake encouraged. Keep it steady. Let the rough surface do the work, but they were still doing 65 miles per hour, and the bottom of the hill was getting closer. Jake could see the intersection ahead where the school bus would be crossing. Tommy, in about a mile, there's going to be a concrete barrier on the right side. We're going to use it to stop you. Use it how? Tommy asked, panic creeping back into his voice. You're going to scrape along it. Let the friction slow the truck down. I've done this before. Jake was lying. He'd never done exactly this before, but he'd improvised enough emergency stops in his military career to know the physics would work. Other CB voices were chiming in with encouragement and updates. Road dog, this is Smokey Bear in the patrol car. I've got the intersection blocked, but that school bus is stubborn. Driver doesn't want to stop. Tell that bus driver it's life or death. Jake barked into his microphone. As they approached the concrete barrier, Jake positioned his pickup to guide Tommy's truck. The barrier was designed to prevent vehicles from going off the road, and it was about to serve a much more important purpose. Okay, Tommy, start bringing the truck over. Very gentle. Let the trailer hit the barrier first. Jake watched as the massive truck began scraping along the concrete wall. Sparks flew everywhere. The sound of metal on concrete was deafening, but the truck was finally slowing down. 0.60 miles per hour. 55. 50. It's single quotes S working. Tommy shouted over the CB. It's actually working. But they weren't done yet. The barrier ended in 200 yards, and they were still doing 45 miles per hour toward the intersection. Tommy, when the barrier ends, I want you to cut hard. Left across both lanes. Put the truck sideways and let it slide. That'll flip us over. Maybe, Jake admitted. But it'll stop you before you hit that school bus. Jake could see the yellow school bus now, stopped just short of the intersection. 40 children were watching out the windows as the runaway truck and little pickup approached at high speed. Now, Tommy. Cut left now. Tommy yanked the steering wheel hard left. The massive truck began sliding sideways across both lanes of the highway, the trailer swinging around behind the cab like a giant pendulum. Jake had to brake hard and swerve to avoid being crushed as the truck slid past him. The semi came to rest completely sideways across both lanes, blocking all traffic, but still 100 yards short of the school bus intersection. Tommy. Jake called over the CB. Tommy, are you okay? Silence for a moment, then Tommy's shaken voice came through the radio. I'm alive. I can't believe it, but I'm alive. Jake pulled his pickup over and ran to the truck cab. Tommy was climbing down, his legs shaking so badly he could barely stand. Son, you did good, Jake said, putting a steadying hand on the young driver's shoulder. Couldn't have done it without you, Tommy replied. How did you know how to do all that? Jake smiled. 30 years driving military convoys through some pretty rough places. You pick up a few tricks. By now, state police, ambulances, and fire trucks were arriving on the scene. The school bus driver had gotten out and was walking over to thank them personally. "You gentlemen just saved 43 children," the bus driver said, tears in her eyes. Word spread quickly through the trucking community about what had happened. On Highway 101, within hours, Jake's CB Handle Road Dog was legendary among drivers throughout the region. The local news picked up the story, and Jake found himself reluctantly agreeing to interviews. "Mr. Williams," the reporter asked, "what went through your mind when you realized a school bus was in danger?" "Same thing that went through my mind in Kuwait and Bosnia," Jake replied. "You do whatever it takes to protect innocent people. That's what soldiers do." Tommy Morrison visited Jake at his home the next week, bringing his wife and 2 young children. "Mr. Williams," Tommy said, "I want my kids to meet the man who saved their daddy's life." Jake knelt down to talk to the children at their level. "Your daddy was very brave yesterday. When things got scary, he listened and followed instructions. That's what heroes do." 6 months later, the American Trucking Association gave Jake their highest civilian honor. At the ceremony, surrounded by professional drivers from across the country, Jake was asked to give a speech. "I spent 30 years in the Army, driving convoys through war zones," Jake told the audience. "I thought those days of high-speed chases and life-or-death decisions were behind me. Turns out, you never really retire from being ready to help people." Tommy Morrison was in the audience, now driving for a company that had given him a truck with the most advanced braking system available. After the ceremony, Jake was approached by a driving instructor from a local trucking school. "Mr. Williams, would you consider teaching emergency driving techniques to our students? What you did out there could save a lot of lives if other drivers knew how to do it." Jake thought about it. He'd been looking for a way to stay useful in his retirement. "Sure," he said. "But we're not just teaching driving techniques. We're teaching them to think like soldiers, stay calm, assess the situation, and never give up on saving lives." 3 years later, Jake's emergency driving course had trained over 200 commercial drivers. His techniques had been used successfully in 6 other brake failure emergencies, saving dozens of lives. But Jake's proudest moment came when Tommy Morrison graduated from the course as an instructor himself, ready to teach other drivers the skills that had saved his own life. As Jake often told his students, the most important thing about being behind the wheel isn't how fast you can go or how much you can haul. It's being ready to use everything you've learned to protect the people around you when it matters most. And sometimes, Jake would add with a smile, "An old soldier's training is exactly what the highway needs."